And welcome back. Today we are talking about family dynamics and the countless different ways that families can form and look. So joining us for the discussion is Maddie Boss, the Programs Director for the Family Support Centers of Utah. Thank you for joining us here again, Maddie.
Thank you so much for having me.
Tell us then, what is a blended family?
So there are actually 67 different types of families that are technically blended families. I know we sometimes think blended, we think of remarriages and divorces, and that's not necessarily always the case. People who are in adopted families or foster families or even grandparents having kinship are technically blended families.
Okay, and how often are we seeing these then?
So
what's the percentage these days?
1 in 3 children will be in a blended family in their lifetime, so it's pretty big.
Yeah, this impacts, all of us know somebody or are living it ourselves, right? So let's talk about connecting with a stepchild. I'm sure many at home could use some of this.
Yes. So the first thing to do when connecting with a stepchild is to really let it grow organically. It's really hard coming in to a family that you don't know and you don't know the rules or the dynamics, but really let that go organically and kind of let it flow, build that connection, build that relationship with the child, and don't force them to call you like mom or dad. Let them choose what they would like to call you.
And that could be open to whatever they choose then, because I think that is the next question, is what do they call this family member that may not be their biological mother or father?
Yeah, so you really just have to let them choose. I think sometimes children in step families or in blended families don't really have any control. And so they don't control where they live, they don't control if they have 2 homes, and they don't control who is coming into their lives. And so letting them have that control of what they choose to call you as that new parental figure is really important.
Yeah, a simple little way to give them some control. I love that. Tell us too, Maddie, the best way to grow these attachments. You talked about you want them to be organic, you want them to happen naturally, but how do you even foster that so that it can grow?
I think one of the most important things to realize is that there's an adjustment period. So it takes the average person about 3 years to adjust to a big life change, and the same goes for kids. So in that first 3 years where you're building and growing with the child, it's really important to just kind of understand that there might be a little bit more emotional meltdowns, or there might be some behavioral issues in there, and all of that is totally normal. We also like to point to the 4 parenting styles as well. So you have your authoritative, authoritarian, you have your neglectful, and your supportive. We technically like to have parents and step-parents, stay in the supportive role. And that's going to be based on high warmth and low control. And the more you get to know the kids and the more you bond with them and build that relationship, you can move over to the authoritative role, and that's the high control, high warmth.
So a supportive role, especially in those first 3 years. You might have already answered this, but is that the most difficult time then for children to adapt to divorce or a new family, or really that first 3 years?
It really is. And we see a lot with children ages 9 to 15 have a little bit harder time adjusting and adapting. And so just give them a little extra support.
Okay, we only have 30 seconds left. Just some tips. If you were to put out your top 3 tips, let's say your 1 or 2 tips, what would you say for these step parents?
I would say definitely build the connections first. That is so important. It's also so important to build that connection with your spouse or whoever you are living with at the time. Step families are a little bit different of a dynamic, and so really having those open-ended conversations about parenting roles and parenting styles helps a ton.
Yeah, having that communication. Maddie Boss, thank you again for your time here today. We really appreciate it. UtahFamilies.org is where you can go for more information, or of course the interview will all be posted on our website, abc4.com. We thank you again for your time. We'll send it over to you, Rich.